Well, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for us to be talking about coping with stress. And I don't mind telling you, yet again, I've had more than my fair share this week, and as I'm certain some of you have as well. So now, here is the reality. We all cope with stress every week. And I just want to thank all of the regular viewers who come online to come and chat to us and share their stories so that you can see if you have had a stressful week, you're not alone. All right. Don't think you're the only one that's suffering from stress, because you're not. And as you're going to hear, I've had lots of stress this week, and I'm certain that other viewers have had lots of stress. And we will talk about this and tell you how we cope. So, the topic for today, or the quotes that I wanted to use around today's broadcast, are all going to be about how we relieve our stress, all right? Not how we, because we're all going to get it. Yeah, it comes at us like this, but how do we dissipate it? How do we get rid of it? Or how do we calm it down? Because some of it we can't get rid of, right? Because it's an ongoing thing and there's more coming. But it's just like, how do we calm it down so that we're not completely out of control? So our quotes today will be around relieving stress. I wanted to just remind you all that the broadcast, in case you missed it, the broadcast that we did on Friday lunchtime was talking about labels. And I want to tell you something that was really quite a broadcast. Friday evening this week, we talked about how many different ways you could cook a pork tenderloin. And it was part of my meal prepping. I do meal prepping on Saturday, Friday nights with you guys. But I had these two pieces of pork tenderloin that I got on special, and I created 5 different meals. Actually, more than 5 meals. I created close to 10 meals for me out of those two. And we stuffed some, and we roasted some, and we did all sorts of things. And we made kebabs, and it was just like, it is really an incredibly easy way to cook. Because now, every time I feel like I could do with some pork, all I have to do is go to the freezer and pull out my next helping of pork. And it'll be different every time. And that is awesome. Remember to follow us, please, on Facebook and Twitter. The reason that we ask that is because if anything goes wrong, which it did on Friday, if anything goes wrong and I can't broadcast, or the broadcast is going to be delayed, I'm going to put up 3 different notices. One here on YouTube, so make sure you follow us here. I will put another one up on Facebook, and the third one will go up on Twitter. I'm more inclined to do this, and yeah, actually, I think I do all 3 when there's a problem, just so that you will keep up to date and know there's a reason why the broadcast is not coming out. I also want to make sure that you understand any recommendations I may make or anything I might talk about. I wanted to let you know that I am not in any way a medical professional. All right. I am just somebody who's lived a long time, as you can tell by my hair, and I have had to deal with a lot of things in my life. And so any comments you may hear from me are my personal opinion. And if you've got real problems and you're in serious depression or whatever, you need to be talking to a professional. However, in the meantime, this is a group of people who are all dealing with all sorts of stuff every week. And maybe some of the things that our group does will be able to help you a little bit. All right, so having said all of that, I'm going to get to that in a second, Jeannie. What I wanted to let you know was you can't always control what goes on the outside, but you can always control what goes on in the inside. Now, how many of you are saying, not so much so? All right, not so much. Let me put it a different way. If you have worked your emotional intelligence, you will be able to help yourself cope from the inside. And if you let the whole world determine your inner peace, then you will be stressed. No doubt about it. Hi there, by the way, to Jeannie, to Jody, to Beth, and everybody else that's watching. A very big hi from me, and thank you for being here so we can discuss this. I wanted to give Bernice a particular hug, really, because she's dealing with some stuff totally out of her control, and it could determine a lot of things in her life. And so, very, very stressful time for her. And so, big hug to you, Bernice. Hang in there and let us know what happens. I also wanted to give a heads up that we've got, I believe, Bubba's birthday. That's Louisiana Laurie's husband. His birthday on the 10th that I know of. Oh, Lauren in Tasmania. It's her birthday. Her birthday, I think, is on the 17th. And Andy, for those of you who go way back with Dear Mama Sal, Andy from Ohio, it's his on the 18th. So that is awesome. I also believe it's M's birthday on the 9th, which would be tomorrow. But I don't know which M, because we've got a couple of them. So if either of the M's are happen to hear this, let me know if it's your birthday on the 9th or the other M's. So, and just send me a quick note at dearmamasal@gmail.com so that we can get that one sorted out. Yes. Oh, isn't that amazing? Yeah, Beth, that's towards the end of the month. You and I get to celebrate our birthdays a bit later. Ah. All right. So Jeannie is saying under her stress that she's saying she had a real meltdown recently. Her dog Misty stopped eating, wouldn't take her pills. The vet told us to take her to emergency, where she spent hours. I'm so sorry. You've got enough stress going on. For those of you who don't know, Jeannie has just moved back into her home after being out of it for over a year. Her original home burnt down and they had to rebuild it. And she has just very recently, in the last couple of weeks, gone back and is now doing that incredible job of unpacking. Boy, do I relate to that. Well, actually, in a way, Jeannie doesn't have all the crud to unpack because she lost everything, or just about everything. So in a way, she has probably less unpacking to do than I do. All right, so Jeannie's saying that Misty had 2 injections and new meds, and how's she doing? That's what we'd like to know. I also wanted to give a heads up that if anybody else has got any birthdays this week, please let us know because it's not in the database and we would like it to be. I want to thank Lynn for the fun thumbnails that she designs for us every now and then. I love this one with the cat, with bug eyes. And I also wanted to give a heads up and say, well done, Jody. She's through another week with her, she had this stomach bypass surgery, and she's now got a stomach the size of a grape tomato. But I got a feeling it might be getting close, increasing in size a little bit by now, because I understand you even managed to eat scrambled eggs this week. Which is part of your plan. And that must have been such a great taste to have. How long has it been since you could eat scrambled eggs? All right. So Jeannie is saying that finally the vet told her that Misty, that's the dog, would need to have medication given orally into her mouth. That actually isn't that difficult, I don't think, Jeannie. If you watch it a couple of times, you'll be able to do it. She was saying that the vet said they need to come back and do it, but absolutely good. She's saying they did one, and then the nice tech gave the first dose, and then put the rest into syringes for you. Yes, once Jeannie, you're a very smart cookie. Everything's easy to do once you know how to do it. And I can totally understand the stress of having to give your pet a syringe. The difficulty was getting the syringe into the bottle. Okay, so now you've had training, right? As I said, everything's easy to do once you know how to do it. And so if the tech showed you how to do it, and I always say to people, don't just show me, watch me do it myself. In other words, yes, I know you can do it, but can I do it? Which is the important thing, right? And so you can watch it 10 times, but the truth is, I think a good teacher hands you the syringe and the bottle and says, okay, now do what you watched. And, then I'll correct you if you do anything wrong. Well, I'm certain you were upset. Jeannie, I think any of us, a helpless animal or a baby or a child, whenever they get sick, we do have a lot of issues, or somebody we love, anybody, and I think yeah, you were very upset for her. All right. Um, but again, Jeannie, I know there's part of you that understands this. You being upset for her wasn't helping her at all, because she would be able to feel that stress and then probably stress out even more. So, that is one thing we have to remember. Very important when our pets are under stress, that we get our emotions under control, because they feed off our stress. And I'm certain any of you who've got pets know what I'm talking about. And it's very important. Okay, let's do the unboxing of this week. Um, First of all, I want to thank Jeannie for sending what she sent. So yes, it did get to me. It was beautifully wrapped. It was beautifully wrapped in a box no bigger than it needed to be, and every part of it was, well wrapped in newspaper, and it arrived perfectly. I just want you to know that, Jeannie. But before I get on to what it was, I chuckled when I saw the postage. You see all the coffee all the coffee stamps. And I don't know if you did that intentionally, Jeannie, but I saw those stamps and I go, isn't that cute? She knows how much I love my coffee. And they're lattes, hello, cheers. Mm. However, Jeannie, you and I need to come to an agreement. I love it that you want to send me these wonderful things so that I can use them when I cook. But, to pay that much to get these to me is insane in this day and age. I would far rather, that if you want to give me those things, send me a gift voucher and let them pay for the postage. Really, you know what I mean? It's just like we could have cooked all for the next 5 years on that. So here we go. Let's see what Jeannie sent. She sent me some wonderful vanilla flavor stuff, which is going to be wonderful for my smoothies, because that's where I put most of my vanilla, is in my smoothies. So thank you for that. She also sent me some wild Maine blueberry syrup, right? So that's awesome. And she sent me some of this raised mustard. Now, I didn't get any more of the molasses and the molasses one. So, but I did get lots of other options, which are the sweet and spicy. And I'll let you know what that's like. But I have a feeling I'll have a look at what the ingredients are. But that looks like it'd be wonderful on chicken. She also sent me a Jameson's Tavern. So, Jameson's tells me what's in there. So it's a sweet and tangy tavern-style mustard. My next roast beef's going to have that on it. And then that one, I don't know why, Jeannie, but the one I was really looking forward to tasting was the brown ginger. Sweet and mild. How many of you going, that sounds good? So I'm just going to read, the instructions are made for people who've got eyes. Oh, maybe I got old-fashioned eyes here. Let me see what's in them. Deep well water, blended whole mustard seeds, distilled vinegar, salt, evaporated cane juice, brown sugar, and true spices. Now, so we don't know what the spices are. Okay. Now, this one has all of the above, but it also has artesian well water instead of proprietary spices. They don't want to tell you what they got in there. Oh, wait, it's got it on the top. Okay, that's it. And this one, this is the sweet and spicy, has got deep well water, blended whole mustard seeds, distilled vinegar, salt, evaporated cane juice, turmeric, yes, and true spices. I don't know what untrue spices are. Does anybody else? What do you think they mean by true spices? Like not artificial? I wonder if Jeannie knows. Anyway, I just want to tell you how much I appreciated all of this. It was wonderful. And Jeannie, on behalf of my post office, they would like to apologize to you. And the reason they want to apologize the reason that they wanted to apologize is because you were quite right. The parcel had arrived, and for the first time ever, somebody, when that arrived, did not call me. They always call me when there's a parcel because I've moved away. And anyway, they always used to call me anyway when I was close by. And then what happened was another big parcel arrived, and where they put their parcels for people that they know, this big parcel ended up being in front of yours. And so when I phoned to say, my viewer thinks that the parcel has arrived, when they looked, they couldn't see it because they got everything else out, but they didn't realize that the big parcel had another one behind it. So, all right, thank you, Jody. Jody is saying that true spices, such as black and white pepper, cloves, nutmeg, usually come from a tropical area. They are the dried seeds of bark, flower parts, roots, buds, fruit. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. They're very natural stuff, right? I want to tell you something. All I know is if they taste half as good as that mustard and molasses one, I will be looking forward to cooking. I think we'll do chicken next, right? A couple of those. And the other thing that I love about mustard, not only does it have a taste to it that makes it taste like you've spent hours doing something, but the other thing is that it lasts forever. And mustard does not go off. Mustard is one of those things that you can have for the longest time, and therefore it's not wasted. So we like that. So thank you very much indeed. What did you do, Jeannie, to lower your stress level when all that was going on with Misty? Because part of what I want to do is to make sure that we find out everybody's ways of reducing their stress. And while she's typing that, I thought you'd like to know one of my stress releases this week was my beans. I had one bean plant that actually managed to get beans going before that heat wave hit and killed most of mine. But I did get some from one of my bean stalks, and I'm really looking forward to eating them. And I know what you're saying. You're saying that's not very many, Sal. Well, guess what? I don't need very many. All right. It's just incredible to be able to eat beans that I grew myself. That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, Jody's saying even cardboard would taste good marinated in this mustard. Yeah, I quite agree with you. Quite agree with you. So, once you truly accept that stuff will happen to you and that there is nothing you can do about it, stress miraculously leaves your life. I love that, right? Stress miraculously. So Judy is saying when all that stress went down, she lost control. She cried and was angry at herself for spilling expensive medicine, and finally told myself to relax. Yes. Uh, think about that. You got angry at yourself for spilling expensive medicine, but would it not be true that you were more upset that you were spilling something that you were meant to be giving to Misty? I've got a feeling that the expense, while an issue, of course, for any of us, the bigger issue for you would be and not able to give it to Misty. And so I think it's really important when we get into these stressful situations to identify why are we so stressed. All right. Now, some of you know that I had an issue on Friday where we were not able to drink any water because they chlorinated all the limes. And then the idea was that after all that had been done and 24 hours had gone by, we were then systematically meant to open up different faucets and run water through our limes, one faucet at a time, for like a couple of hours, each of them. Actually, they said the main bid, the faucet outside, to run that for a couple of hours, and then each of the indoor ones for 10 minutes or so, cold, and then hot. And I want to tell you something that sort of sounded like a good idea until we all tried to do it. And we are on an artesian well here, and we kept blowing the breakers on the artesian well, so we couldn't properly rinse the lines out. And then guess what? It got worse. It got worse because even though we all did exactly what we were told to do in terms of clearing the lines, we were then told once you think you've done it, you take about this much water and one of these little packets, which has got a crystal in it that will identify chlorine. Now, what he said was, once you've done this, if you put the crystals in, and I'm just going to put about half of it in. How many of you can see it's still a little pink? Oh, wait a minute. I can make that easier for you. That's what he said. If it's still pink, then it's still got chlorine in it. So for those of you who were watching earlier in the week, it was a lot different color. This is actually quite pale by comparison. But does it still have some chlorine in it? And so my question to you is, if you knew that it still had chlorine in it, would you be drinking it? And it was funny because, we were all, what we didn't know is how much chlorine, all right? Is this dangerous amount of chlorine or not? And I think the difficulty for us all in this community of 106 units was nobody was communicating that it was okay if it was a pale pink. All right. And it took us over another 24 hours to find out that the level in the system was now low enough that it was down to, I think they said 2 whatevers. I don't know what it is. Whereas the community, the municipal water was actually 5. People are drinking with 5 whatevers of chlorine. In the rest of the community, we have a well that is particularly clean, but at the moment we still have a little bit of chlorine in it. So again, we got very stressed out, and we didn't know whether to, I still haven't pulled drinking water from my faucets, right? I'm still drinking water that I collected. And because I will feel more comfortable the longer I can not use this water with the chlorine in it. I don't know why. And then I still have about 2 days worth of water in my water filter and another jug. So I've got quite a bit of water that I can carry on. All right, Jeannie's got quite a lot going on. Let me see what she's saying next here. The other problem was that people wanted to see our home. You remember she's just moved back home, and it's not ready yet. York agrees with me, and I said no to Johnny and Marion. I think they're your children, right? And that's your right. And then Jeannie's saying there was an early morning accident yesterday. A young man worked a double shift, fell asleep at the wheel, and ran into a pole. I hope that he survived it. Oh, he was able to walk away unharmed. All right, you guys lost power for a while. So there you were, no power and no water. Did you see the emergency lights that I demonstrated on Friday, Jeannie? I want to tell you, I found out more about them. Hang on a second. Let me get one. And the reason that I'm talking about this is that it's not just that they are emergency lights. Hang on a second. And I didn't realize this when I was talking about them. All right, so the way that you charge them, they're rechargeable, is you just put them into a regular place you'd put a bulb, and then after about 4 to 6 hours, it'll be charged. Then if you have a power failure, you've got one of two things you can do. Right? You can screw on the bottom bit here, for those of you who haven't seen this, all right? And you've got a pretty good light bulb that you can hang, in a closet or in your bathroom. And for me, I probably need a couple so I look good, or whatever. But the thing I didn't know when I was talking about it on Friday was you can use them as regular bulbs, right? I mean, in other words, they're fine to use as regular bulbs during the winter when you're more likely to have a power outage. And then, if anything, if the power goes out, you know exactly where they are because they're already in the right places. And all you need to find are the little bits that go on the bottom to turn them on. Anyway, so I want to tell you, for me, that was so important for me because we get a lot of power outages here. And here where I live, if we lose power, we also lose water. So I thought important for everybody to know. It's called Be Prepared, Not Scared. I had great news from my friend Marnie that she wants to take me camping. And I have not been camping for some years now, a couple of years at least, since I sold my trailer, and probably well before that as well. So can you imagine just knowing that I'm going to do that is a stress release for me? It makes me feel so much better to know that's going to happen. I've got something to look forward to, something in my future. Have any of you got fun things in your future? And if you haven't, maybe it's time to plan something so you can look forward, with, it's good, it's only a couple of weeks. Remember as children, we used to count down the number of sleeps to something, be it our birthday or Christmas or whatever, only 4 more sleeps. And I would like us to be able to remember how important that was, how excited we got, counting down the number of sleeps. And think about how, if you knew you got something really fun to do in a week, that you would be counting down the number of days and getting excited every morning. Oh, it's only another 4 sleeps. And also, I'm going to start talking with Marnie about what can I bring, so I can start shopping and enjoy getting stuff together that I can take with us. So I'm very, very excited about that. However, talking about stress, and by the way, if any of you have got any other stress, Jeannie's obviously talked about hers. Please, if you would like to share it, put it up here so we can help other people understand. How long are you going for? It'll probably just be for a couple of nights, weekend, because she works. But thank you for asking. I want to tell you that my brother Jeff, that some of you have seen in broadcasts and in videos, my brother Jeff is in Africa, and he has just started on a trip through a couple of countries in Africa, and he's doing it by rail. And he is unvaccinated in terms of the vaccinations. We know he's taking some pill that they've come up with in South Africa. How many of you would be stressed if your brother was doing the trip that my brother is? What do you think? Would you be worried sick for him? What would your emotion be around that? Or maybe if you knew your son and daughter, or in-law, for example, were going to do that trip, or the children of your best friend. So I want you to understand that a lot of our stress is we worry about other people who are adults. So does it make any sense to you that my worrying myself sick about my brother going off and doing this trip with COVID rampant in Africa is not going to help him one bit? What helps is that I say to myself, he is a pretty smart adult. And whether I believe it or not is not important. He obviously believes that the stuff that he's taking is going to protect him. Otherwise, he wouldn't do the trip. He's not stupid. Will it protect him? I don't know. But maybe it protects him better than the vaccine I've had. I don't know. And so for me to worry myself sick about my brother is a total waste of my energy. Do any of you get what I'm talking about? Now, I can tell you that I've been seeing a lot of news recently about the fact that more and more children are getting COVID. That does worry me. Not much I can do about it. And I just pray every night for those parents who've got children that are not old enough to be vaccinated. And, to me, it's just like, wow, that must be so difficult. So difficult. So when you look at it, life is pretty stressful at the moment for a lot of us. And our job is to keep that cocoon of our mind clear and as relaxed as possible. So thinking about, I'm amazed, for example, somebody said to me, well, is he stupid? Why would he do that trip? Da, da, da. I go, he's not stupid. He's intelligent. And he wouldn't be doing this. He would not be doing it if he thought it was a risk. How about this quote for you? No work is stressful. It's your inability to manage your body, your mind, and your emotions that make you stressful. All right? It's not what's happening that is stressful. It's your reaction to it that makes it stressful. Okay? And so it's really important. Yes, Janie's saying, she's worried for her grandsons. But there's nothing else that she can do other than pray. And there's nothing her parents can do except pray. That's true, Jeannie. It's like there's nothing that their parents can do except pray that they will be safe. And it is very, very concerning. Um, I don't know I mean, for those of you who've got children and grandchildren, how are you sort of dealing with this? What are you saying to yourself that helps you? Obviously, Jeannie's saying she prays. And so, what else are you doing to keep yourself calm? And I must admit that in talking, my brother is pretty convinced that, it's all not quite a big hoax, but it's all overblown. Well, yeah, you know, and so it's just like some people are going to be right and some people are not. We don't know, really. I understand why some people don't want to get vaccinated. I understand this, but something else? I also believe that until we reach herd immunity, we need as many people vaccinated as possible. And, it's going to get to the point, I believe, where people who have not been vaccinated, please, if you haven't been vaccinated, I uphold your right to make that choice, but please stay away from bars and restaurants and anywhere where there are going to be a lot of people together, because we just don't know. I don't know if I'm a carrier. You know what I mean? I go to places and I don't know if I am part of the problem. All right. And I think we will get to the stage where there are going to be some pretty easy kits that will be. I think we can already do that. Am I correct? In the States, you already can buy tester kits to find out if you have the virus. But the question is, we don't know whether, we've got the Delta virus at the moment. What about the one that begins with an E or F or G? Are they already mutating that we don't know about? That's the concern. I've got a friend who is under tremendous stress at the moment. And I spent quite a bit of time on the phone with her. And I was quite surprised that what she said to me, when I'm under this level of stress, there's only one person I can talk to, and that's you. And I don't know why I was confused by that. Because my friend is a very smart cookie, very smart. And what it turned out to be, I believe, was that she's been in very high stress situations before. But I never called her stupid for it. Do you know what I mean? That even though she was freaking out and things were happening, I held her as capable. And I said to her, tell me what the stress is. Because one of the things that I know is when we can clearly identify what the stress is, we can start calming it down. Well, she told me it's this. And I said, okay, tell me more. All right. She has to take some sort of exam. And she's terrified about it. And I said, okay, what is it about the exam that terrifies you? See, understand, people think it's the first thing, but it isn't. I said, what is it about taking this exam that terrifies you? Well, she used to be able to study for exams doing this, this, and this, and now she can't. And I went, okay, so now we found out it's not the exam that is terrifying you, it's the fact you can't prepare for it in the same way that is terrifying you. Make sense, everybody? So then I asked her the question, and by the way, I do recommend asking this question if you've got friends that are overwhelmed. And I said to her, if you had a magic wand, what would be the ideal answer to the problem. Because I know you're smart and I know you've been through exams before and passed well. So, what is it that you had that you need that you cannot get at the moment? And she told me. And I said, is there any way I could do that for you? If I could be that person for you? You see, I was pretty sure the answer would be yes. Otherwise, why would I be hearing all of this? Makes sense. But it would mean a huge commitment of my time. And I don't care. If that's what my friend needs, then I would be more than happy to be there and be that person. And what I did was I said to her, here's what I need you to do. I need you to find out the following 2 facts by Monday or Tuesday. And I said Monday or Tuesday because I can't remember. Monday's a holiday or something. Anyway, so I just said, or Tuesday, by Tuesday. And these 2 facts. Plus, I want to know. Oh, the other thing is that I found out is she learns really easily from seeing things in pictures. You know what I mean? If somebody draws something on a whiteboard and shows what everything is, she gets it. She does not do well reading it, but she does well if she can see it and listen to it. How many of you know that you learn in a certain way? All right. And maybe you could give me some input here. Are you somebody that can learn from just reading a book? I actually learn best by doing. When I want to learn something new on my silhouette machine, the best thing I can do for myself is to give myself a day and say, okay, now I can play with it. And I will play with it until it makes sense to me. And I am prepared to waste paper and do all sorts of things because the only thing that I want to achieve is, do I understand how this goes together? Do I understand how this works? Because if I understand how it works, this particular design, then I can do it without a problem. It's a bit like Jeannie. Once she can understand how to, put the syringe, fill the syringe up from the bottle. Once she can see that happen, that's half the stress gone. The other half, though, is, can she do it? We know the expert can do it, but can she do it? Which is why I always say, whenever I trained people, I would show them and I go, now I can do it. That's not what you're here for. You want to learn how to do it. So here's how you do it. And I would hand them whatever it was and I would talk them through it so that they got to do it. And then I wouldn't leave it there. I'd go, okay, that's one bit of experience. Now let's start again. And this time I'm not going to tell you what to do. See if you know what to do. And I would keep doing that until they just could do it without, too much problem at all. Yes, Jeannie's saying, I can usually watch somebody do something and then repeat it, which is why YouTube has become such a huge resource for people, right? But do any of you have the opposite thing, which is, I don't want to spend 20 minutes on a video. I want to be able to read it so I can, and don't have to keep stopping the video. I want to read it bit by bit. Once I've got that, then I'll go and have a look at the video. All right. Now, Jodi's saying with sewing projects, I need to learn by doing so I can make the mistakes and learn to do it the proper way. My seam ripper, one that takes out the stitches, is my best friend. You see, so Jodi, you and I have a similar learning pattern. You will know what learning pattern you have because you will know how you learned the computer, right? When you had to learn the computer or your cell phone or whatever, do you find it easier reading the instructions manual that was written by somebody who you think, in my case, did they even talk my language? I don't think so. And haven't you noticed that half the instructions, they presume you know what this fancy word is? Or they presume it's just like I go, what is that? So sometimes reading it for me is very complicated. Yes, and Jodie's saying, that she learns things by just, punching keys and see what happens. Yeah, I must admit that I am very similar to a large part. I'm one of those people where if I buy a make it yourself thing, I will put it together first before I only ever read the instructions if I haven't worked it out. So Julie's saying I'm currently having trouble reprogramming the clock on the new stove. All right. So have you read the instructions? I presume yes, because you've got that far. Have you checked on YouTube to see if somebody has done a video on your particular stove and how to reprogram it? Because that would be my next thing. Once I found out that, okay, I sort of understand, but it's not working still, then I would watch a video to see what step I'm missing. Mm-hmm. So Jeannie, if I wanted it, I would see what is the make of my stove, and preferably what model it is. And then you'll be amazed. People don't do manuals the way that they used to. Now they're putting up videos so you can get just the bit you want, how to reprogram the clock. Yay. The other thing is if you just type into Google, reprogram the clock, so half your stress will be gone because you'll have not only videos, but also the written by somebody who probably speaks English the same way you do. Yeah, you see, and Jody goes when she's trying to learn how to, I had the same problem. New stove to me, not a new stove, but a new to me stove. I go, it can't be that difficult. All right. I just have to, like Jody, I just have to punch enough keys to see how it goes. My blood pressure machine, right? Can't be that difficult. Only certain things can, only so many buttons to push. Jody, you and I is very much the same. And, I can imagine other people saying, what if you press the wrong button? And I said, the very first button I identified was the stop one. So if things start to go wrong, I know where the stop one is. And by the way, I did check before I put it on my arm that I could set it going and stop it with that button, because I'm not altogether stupid, just a little bit. All right, so that reduces my stress about starting something new. So if you have problem finding it, Jeannie, then let us know and we'll see if we can help find the instruction for you. But I know you well enough to know you're a very smart cookie, so I'm pretty certain you'll be able to find it. So remember, whenever you've got stress coming up, all right, do any of you have anything in the future? I think, let me think, what have I got? Tomorrow, I'm going to go and see Dougie, one of my sons. I'm going to go and see Dougie and see his new house. So part of me was I need to take something with me. All right. I don't have to. In fact, Dougie hates it when I do, right? Because he's not into material things, but I am who I am. And if you think I'm pitching up there without something in my hand, you can think again. And he knows that. So what I did was I went out yesterday and got just something, a token. All right. I just got a little pot of chrysanthemums that he can put at the front door or in his new garden or something. Just nothing that, I didn't spend a whole lot of money on it because he wouldn't like that. But this is just a token. And he'll understand it. And I also bought him, the cutest thing. Hang on. Don't you think that's cute? It's a little red pepper bush. And I know he does a lot of barbecuing and got a lot of friends that like hot stuff. So I thought I'll give him that so he can, plant it and grow it. And then whenever he's barbecuing, he can just go and get some. So that was the other thing I got. So now I have less stress when I go to get ready tomorrow because I know I have what I need. Makes sense. And that is, you know, that is one of the things. I didn't want to say, well, I'll get it on the way there, because, you know, too many things can happen on the way there that, you know, and then I'll end up not getting what I would like to have. I wanted the time to be able to enjoy it. And by the way, I was going to get him a big, I saw a really beautiful, fully grown rosemary bush. It was probably this wide and this high. And again, for somebody that likes to barbecue and likes to cook, I was thinking of rosemary bushes, and you know, it's so fragrant. But then I saw the price of it, and the price of it was like $150. And I'm going, no. And then I saw that it was 50% off. And I went, you know something? I still think that's overpriced for what it is. And so I put it in the basket with me. And when I got to the checkout, I asked the question, which is this the rock bottom price? Or was this the price before you put it at the back? And they put stuff that's on sale at the very back of the place. And the woman looked at me and said, no, that's the rock bottom price. I said, okay, fine. Then I won't have it. You know? You know, because to me, I thought about it and I thought, no, I really don't want to pay that much for it. I don't think it is, you know, it had gone past its prime. You know, it looked like it needed trimming right back and regrowing. But, you know, for the right price, that would have been worth the time. And so anyway, we will see. Now, you will remember last week when we had this conversation, I was talking about the fact that in the following 2 Wednesdays, I had contractors coming in to finish the deficiencies from, you know, doing my house. And you will remember I was quite stressed about that because there were going to be so many people in my house and all making a noise and dust and da 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 da. Well, I did take the time, if you remember, to ask myself, you know, how do I minimize that stress? How do I minimize that stress? And that was very important to me. Uh, and so what I did was I actually spent a lot of time getting things ready for them and making sure that it was easy for them, because in the long run, be easy for them would make it easy for me. And the wonderful thing was only one contractor came, and he was so charming, and he was quiet as a mouse. You know, it was just like, even when he had to do noisy stuff, he was so thoughtful and so kind, and he was so good. When I say so good, he was a very qualified person in his skill. And I showed him the things that, you know, I was a little bit unhappy about. And of course, it is perfectly natural for me to think, am I being picky? Do any of you relate to that? Am I being picky? And I was amazed how many times he looked at me and he went, I would not be happy with this either. And I'd go, thank you. And then I'd show him the next thing. I go, what do you think about this? You know, and the interesting thing was, as we went through it all, he understood totally. And because he understood totally, he fixed it beautifully. And, you know, most of the stuff that I wanted some attention to now has got some. I'm still waiting for the bathroom to be finished, you know, with the hardware and stuff. And I'll talk about that when that happens. But, you know, the good news was that the stress I had imagined didn't happen. And how often is that true? That if we properly prepare ourselves when we do have things we can prepare for, when we properly prepare ourselves for that stress, then when it actually happens, 9 times out of 10, it's not nearly as stressful. You know, our perception of how stressful it's going to be is normally worse than the reality. However, I've got to tell you, this whole issue about the water, my perception there was that we were just going to have 24 hours without water, no problem, turn on the faucets, clear it, boom, and use it again. I didn't think it was going to be nearly as stressful as it turned out to be. And a couple of reasons. Let me explain why. Number one, we are in midsummer in a heat wave, and our community is in drought condition. And they're saying that 106 households need to open up their faucets and run them for hours at a time. How many of you are going, why in the middle of summer? Why in a drought? Well, you and I both know that asking why doesn't help anything, right? Asking why doesn't fix it. It is what it is. Now, what are you going to do? And then I got into a situation where I was we were given just a few of these, 3 of these testing packets. Well, you can imagine when you tested it and it was deep pink, you knew you were going to have to test again and again and again. And 3 of them, it was meant to be 1 for each faucet. And you're going, 3 of them, it doesn't last very long. All right. And so then it was a case of, okay, fine, I need to get some more. And was told, why are you complaining? I'm not complaining. I just need more of these tester things. Well, you're not allowed to have more. Well, how can I check? How many of you can feel the frustration of that? How can I check if the chlorines left the system if I don't have the crystals to check it with? You know, it was just like insanity going on. But you know what I decided to do was to leave it to my neighbor. Why? My neighbor used to do this. My neighbor understands about chlorinating lines and stuff. And he lived in a small community where he was the volunteer firefighter or one of them, you know, and he also did all sorts of things like that. And they had a house that needed chlorinating regularly. So he knows all about that. And he actually spoke to the people who were doing the chlorinating. And what I did was got my information from him because I trusted what he was telling me. So I didn't need to keep testing. I just need to keep checking with him what was the next step I needed to do. Because I was letting him do it, and then I was doing it the next, you know, if he ran his bib for 2 hours, he'd say, well, actually, I ran my bib for 2 hours. And then, so I said, okay, fine, let me do that once. I ran my bib for 2 hours. And now what's the next thing? Then he said he ran his faucets, each of them, for over an hour. I said, but it said 10 minutes. He said, don't worry, run it for an hour. You know, and it was just like whatever he told me to do, I did. And guess what? It just lowered my stress. Jeannie's saying she alleviated some of her stress by taking some of the laundry to the laundromat for a wash and fold service because her washer dryer is not working well. Yeah, and this is called sometimes, Jeannie, you know, spending a little bit of money, even if you are a little bit tight on money, spending just that little bit extra money actually relieves the stress. Good for you. I'm proud of you. That's called self-care. All right. So what is it that's wrong with your washer dryer so we can understand that? Is it the washer that's not working well or the dryer that's not working well? It must be fairly serious that you would. And you know, one of the things, Jeannie, one of the things is, isn't it amazing? I can remember when I was in London, we didn't have washer dryers in our apartments in those days when I first went to London, you know, and I used to walk to the laundromat every week in high heels, you know, stiletto heels. And I'm going, yeah, I must have been insane. You know, that was before we found out that women could actually go in their runners. You know. Do any of you remember those days where whenever we went out, we wore heels? Yeah, we were dressed up and wore heels. Can you remember that? How stressful was that? So remember, again, all right, stress doesn't come from what is happening. Stress comes from our reaction to what is happening. So Jeannie's saying about the washer dryer. She said, we've been having some electrical problems, and our builder had a problem with the electrician. He did not do a good job with many things. We plan to go to a reliable electrician for help. Okay. So Kimmy's saying, not me, I didn't like them, right? Yeah, but it's funny. And Jodie's saying, yeah, my feet remember those days, and it shows. Yes, we have quite deformed feet because of it, right? But again, it depends where you live. If it wasn't a big issue for me when I lived on the farm, because we had a big farm, as you know. But when I moved to London, if you didn't see people running, we would have died rather than go out and run us. It was just like, but remember, it was a long time ago. A long, long time ago. So this is, we have to sort of, I just look back at it and laugh now and go, gosh, can I remember doing that in the snow with high heels on? Seriously, in the rain with high heels on. I mean, really, I was that stupid. So remember, identify wherever you can what stress is likely to come up. So how many of you look at your day timer a week ahead and go, what's coming up in the next week and what do I need to do to get ready for that? And then plan backwards from that. You understand, when I do the big cook up on a Friday night, it takes me probably most of the week to work out, what am I going to cook? What am I going to need? And then, sort of get it all together, ready for the possibilities. Because as you know, I don't actually decide exactly what I'm going to do. I let you guys work with me on that one. All right. So I have lots of options available on the big worktop here. And then go to you, okay, what would you like to see me try? And for those of you who watch me do that thing on the pork tenderloin, the one I ended up eating was the molasses mustard with tomato. Yep. You remember I put the slices of grape tomatoes in there, and it was so good, I want to tell you. And I had it cold. I actually had it cold. It was just wonderful. All right. So Jody's saying, I actually double check my to-do list when I wake up in the middle of the night. That'll keep you awake at night. All right, so Kimmy's saying she has to go to the optometrist and one of the dogs has something. I'll let you know when that comes through. And again, think about it, right, as you look at these things and go, how many of you plan your cleaning by the season? I realize that I have already been back for a season. And now I'm going, it's been a season since I last cleaned this. Or it's been a season since I last cleaned that. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I am now starting to realize I need to get back into that routine. And I have certain things that I do in each of the seasons. And if you would like it, we could together create a list of things, and I say that because it's much easier. All right, Kimmy's saying she does fall and spring cleaning. All right. And I try to do, get mine into sort of seasons. If it's summer, I want this. By the way, you will remember that I started ordering seedlings for the late summer as soon as I got back here. Do you remember that? And I'm pleased to tell you, I am now planting those seedlings into the garden. And that's what I wanted to do, is to be 2 seasons ahead of what I needed to plant. And because I bought the seeds early, I am now putting them into my garden ready for the late summer. And now I will need to start planting for fall get the seeds in for fall so that they can grow big enough. So by the time late fall comes, I will have those ready to go as well. So that's the routine I want to get into. I did some stress relief yesterday where I think some of you know I've got a situation where I have a shared piece of ground between my neighbor and myself. The only thing is that she is responsible for the first 3 feet of it, and I'm responsible for the rest of it, just by virtue of how these units work. Well, her 3 feet are covered in weeds, and therefore, my bit of it looks terrible because of that. And I went, I cannot control her. I tried, it doesn't work. I cannot control her, so I need to control what I can. And what I can control is how mine looks. And what I decided yesterday was that's a piece of ground that isn't very good. It's a lot of gravel in it and stuff like that. I've got a feeling that when they were mixing concrete, they just threw gravel there, and it's mostly gravel and sand and stuff. And I thought, okay, what would do well? What would do well in sand and gravel? And I thought cacti. Cacti would do really well. And so what I did is I got some cacti when I was shopping yesterday. And then I started to plant a cactus garden there. Low maintenance. All the rocks that I'm finding elsewhere, I can start putting there and start creating a nice garden. And then I thought what I'm going to do next year is put pampas on it as well, to give it that definite line that this is not the same garden as the bit on the left. And it actually was very relaxing, but interesting. As I was doing it, one of my neighbors saw me working on it and said, "What are you planting?" And I said, "Cacti." And she said, "Would you like more?" And I said, "What?" And she said, "I've got," she'd moved into a place, and she said, "I got a lot of cacti in my garden. I don't want them." And she gave me 2 hangers full of cacti, chicken and hens, whatever they're called, hen and chicks or whatever, type things. And I just am breaking them up and putting them in there. So, and now you all know that cacti does that. It's going to, I will be donating mine away very soon. Right? But in the meantime, I want to create something that looks like I care. And I found it very relaxing. Very relaxing to plant. I have to remind myself that getting my hands dirty, do any of you relate to that? Yeah, whether it's with paint or with the ground or whatever, getting my hands dirty is really good for my soul. Right. And Beth, you know something? I don't know about you, but I can tell. Can I repeat that, Beth? I just not sure if you want that repeated. Because it's a very important stress management warning. Yeah, Jeannie's saying some cacti have beautiful buds. Exactly. So once a year, it should look really pretty. That's what I'm hoping. Yeah, and Kimmy's saying there is a kind of cactus that's edible, all right, and that's the prickly pear. Want to also find some aloe plants that I want to put in there as well. Um, so I want it low maintenance, but that it flowers occasionally. So I wanted to um, oh, Kimmy's sending me a photograph of some zucchini that she grew. Well done. Well done, Jeannie. I was, as I said, I was happy that I got to pick some beans. Uh, So now that's what I decided. I don't want that to be the show sort of type garden, but what I want to do is to turn it into a low maintenance that does have some flowers in it, and I will put some in. By the way, I actually wanted to turn it into a rose garden there along the side. Uh, and then I went to go and buy roses, but guess what? It's the end of the season. All the roses are gone. And I went, okay, so there must be a reason why I can't get roses. You see, I believe in that. It's not that I'm stupid. There must be a reason why I can't get roses. And I came back and remembered that Betty Ann has a whole, I think, about 4 big rose bushes in pots. And she asked me earlier if I would like them. And I went, absolutely. Because, I know that a couple of them are yellow that look really good against my house, And so, I don't know. I've just seen what is written up here. That's not good. Wonder how long that's been there. Fresh shower and toilet. I don't know what that was about. Notes to myself on something. What an idiot. No, I'm not. So I'm still waiting for Beth. Yes. Okay. So Beth is saying that she is stressed out at the moment. She's saying her cleaning has to be scheduled around her day off. She's got a new job coming up. Are you already at the new job, Beth? Just so I understand better. And then she said, I'm not sorry that I haven't made my bed in a week. I'm tired. I could tell that I was stressed out because of what happened to my nails, Beth. You see, to me, it's like, for you, it's I haven't made my bed. For me, it's if I start breaking nails or eating them, I'm playing with them, then I know that I need to do more work on my stress management. And that doesn't mean I'm a wuss or an idiot or something. It is about I am overly stressed. I need to do more work. So what will I put into this week? I'm going to read a book, stop and read a book for an hour or listen to a book for an hour. Yeah, the drawing on the cabinet I'm happy with. Oh, maybe you couldn't see what was written above it. The drawing I'm quite happy with. And now that I look at it, you couldn't see the other bit that was there. All right. Thank you for letting me know that, Kim. Now, another thing in terms of stress release, as you will know, it's been weeks since I've gone for Chinese on a Sunday. I decided, even though I've got things I want to do, I am going to go for Chinese today. How many of you are going? Good to hear. Why? 2 reasons. Number 1, we always laugh a lot. And number 2, what is that a drawing of? Me. Kimmy's asking, what's that a drawing of? It's me with my earrings and yeah. And who knows? I don't know. I've always had that as I used to sign my name like that sometimes. So I'm looking forward to going for that. I had a situation, as some of you know, where I was getting some weird calls in the middle of the night, like 30 at night. And I reported them to our local telephone company, and they put me through to their security eventually. I texted them, not texted them, I sent an email to them, but they have phoned me back twice, and this is what I call stressful. I know it's them because it comes up in the call return. You can see the call identification. But do you think I can understand the person that's going and call me up? It's like I can't understand it. And it's too fast. And it's heavily accented. And I'm going, that's frustrating to me. Yeah, Jeannie's saying that she's happy I'm going for Chinese, relax over good food. Yes. And also, if you know, Jeannie, I only ever eat half of it and bring the other half home. So there's another meal for the week sorted out. And so I'm happy. But now listen to this. I've got going out tomorrow to dinner with Doug. They're cooking me dinner tomorrow. And then on Thursday, I'm going out again. It's my week for going out because we've got a couple of the women here, and about every month or so we go out for lunch, and so we're all going to get together and go for lunch on Thursday. So that's going to be quite a busy week for me. Oh, interesting. Hi, Kez. Kez is saying, I saw on Marley Mutt's video, he went to the shelter and gave huge amount of toys, and there were two tortoises. And he gave them cactus leaves. I didn't know that they like that. Isn't that lovely? I learned something today. I didn't know that tortoises like cactus leaves. Interesting stuff. Okay. Um, I was telling the story about getting the call back about the security. What I'm going to do is tomorrow, just sit down quietly and relax, and then look at where I sent the email, and then tell them I'm emailing again, because although I know I've had two calls, I have not been able to understand either of them. Please write me an email with your next questions or whatever, because I cannot understand the people who are calling me. Now, that may be due to my age, it may be due to their accents. I'm also English as a second language. All I know is I'm not going to fix this problem by not understanding people. So help me get in touch with somebody I can understand, or just email it to me. I say that a lot to people. I get calls on my phone that I don't recognize, and I will text back and say, text me. Because, if it is a call I should be answering, they will say, hi, Sal, this is Fred, and I need to come and do something at the house, because, in other words, he's a contractor. And I go, that's good, and I'll text back. But I am now shielding a lot of my calls because there are an awful lot of bogus calls going on. All right, this is under the subject of Did You Know? Lauren is a great source of, Lauren in Tasmania, it's a great source of some interesting stuff at the moment, because she's doing some studying on some psychiatric type issues. And one thing that she was saying this week to me that I didn't know, did you know that you can actually have post-traumatic stress disorder passed on to you secondhand? In other words, it's not that you are in this stressful situation and get PTSD. It is that you can hear about a stressful situation and actually have full-blown PTSD. I was pretty shocked with it, because that means that we have to be very careful how we tell our stories to certain people. And we are obviously not responsible. We can't check with everybody to find out, do you have the mental, what shall I say, the emotional intelligence to be able to hear the story and keep it in a box? Or are you going to go, really have a problem with it? But I had never heard that you can actually have PTSD transferred within you from somebody else's trauma. Obviously, it's what we do with that information that creates that PTSD, but it's just like, wow, I had never heard that before. I found that fascinating. Now then, I'm pretty certain you all watched at least some of the Olympics, and what did you enjoy most? That would be, what made you smile? What was a stress relief for you? Oh, it's interesting. Kimmy's saying I have it, PTSD, she said, and I did not know it. Yeah, that's right. A lot of people don't know it. One of the things that I didn't know, but I did a bit of research because, I get interested in things, is I wonder if I can draw this for you. All right, so wrong pen. Let me find another pen that works better than that, maybe. Oh yeah, that will do. Well, we'll start with runners. Okay, so here's a runner going towards the finish line. Which part of the body that needs to pass the finish line to be clocked at the right time? All right. Do you think it is any part of the body? In other words, as soon as the hand goes across, that's there over the line. Is it as soon as the head, because you watch them dip, is it the head that goes across? Is it the body that goes across? Is it the front foot? What do you think? Do any of you know? Because, I was watching it and I'm going, I've been watching the Olympics all my life and I really don't know. So I did a bit of research. So what do you think? Let's get some input there. All right, so Max, hi Chris. Max is there, Chris. Chris is saying, always good to see you, Chris. Chris is saying the head, that's why they dip. All right, hi Benj. Benj is saying that I enjoyed seeing the emotion come out of the athletes as they won. Yes, isn't that wonderful? You can tell it was a special feeling of relief and celebration from what they'd been through to get there and then win. Yes, I think it was so much more emotional this year because they had it delayed by a year. They had to keep up. They were primed, ready, and fit, and ready to do Olympics last year, and then had told that they couldn't. And now they had to stay, at that sort of level, ready to compete. And then some of them got there and then weren't allowed to compete. And then, it was just like, I am pretty certain that those that could get there and those that actually got medals felt it more in some ways than any other athletes. That is my feeling. I like the person who only started cycling 5 years ago, and came home with the gold, a Canadian. It's just like, can you imagine that? I think I'll take up cycling, and within 5 years, what about the youngsters doing the skateboarding? Like 11-year-olds or whatever. I also like the fact, and I don't know, I'm pretty sure you all are aware of that, we had more women in this Olympics than we have ever had before. Just, I think every single event had a women's side to it. I believe that is true. It's like they didn't just have the men doing this. There was a men's one and a women's one. And it was just so amazing. I also like the fact that it was the most inclusive, openly gay, whatever, Olympics ever. And I thought that was wonderful. However, there were some downsides to it that you might have known. Do you know that in one of the equestrian events, after they've done the regular show jumping stuff, they actually change horses? All right. And you imagine just getting horses there for the Olympics this year must have been absolutely such a difficulty. Anyway, but so the show jumpers all jumped on their own horses. And then there's a second event where they swap horses. And that was very interesting because there was one German coach who punched the horse that he had been loaned for his rider, punched it because it didn't do what he wanted it to. And he got sent home. Yay. Kez is saying they put a trigger warning at the start of a lot of television shows and sometimes even put a line number at the end of the show. Yes. All right. And Kez is saying, I enjoyed watching Nicole McDermott will silver in the high jump and break the Australian record. The joy on her face was incredible. You know, I mean, she looked so shocked. She actually got as high as she did, to be honest, Kez. You know, I was watching her and it was just like, yay! You know, absolutely amazing. And, you know, we had a Canadian who did really well in the cycling, and you could tell that she was so excited. So that was good. How about, did any of you read about the Belarus sprinter who actually was being shipped back to Belarus because she criticized her coach because she was forced to do an event, forced to. And she criticized the coach, and now they wanted to ship her back. And her grandmother in a Zoom call said, "Don't come back. They're telling terrible stories about you here." And the grandmother was terrified that if she went back, she could end up going missing, if you know what I mean. And so she did what I thought was an incredibly brave thing. She actually used her Google translation to write a note to the security cops. All right. And as she went through, she showed them her phone. And it said, "I am being forced out of the country and I am scared for my life. The people with me, I am not leaving of my own free will." And the most incredible thing was that they saw it and they reacted. And they pulled her aside and they found out the full story. And when they found out the full story, they kept her aside, and she applied for, what do you call it? I want to say immunity. That's not the right word. Somebody will come up with it for me. Anyway, diplomatic, that word. But the good news is I believe Poland gave her a new home, and happy to have her as a competitor. Asylum. Thank you, Jeannie. That's the word I was looking for. So, you know, would you have the courage to do that? And how clever that she actually had it already translated and copied and pasted, ready to show the security as she went through. You know, that's like, I don't know about you, but I would be really scared. And I also saw, what I thought was really interesting, that up in Scotland, where they have terrible tides, I mean, the tide is really strong around, you know, that top part of Scotland. They have now found a way to do hydroelectricity using turbines actually in the sea there, and using the power of the tides coming in and out to create electricity. Not a dam, not wind power, but literally they've got turbines sitting so that as the tide pushes in, it creates the turbines, you know, get going, and they create electricity. And as a tide comes out again, it does the same thing. And they are literally powering up, you know, towns with the power of this turbine. Don't you think that's incredible how we're developing these incredible things that, you know, we're getting away from fossil fuels? And I don't know about you, but that to me is very exciting. And before I go, no, not before I go, I have to go. The rest will wait for another time. So remember this, all right? We all have stress every week. Thank you for discussing yours, all of you that have come in to talk about it, because it's in discussing your stress and how you deal with it that helps other people understand their situation. Everybody has stress. It's not just you. It's not because you are not clever, smart, thick, thin, whatever. It is, we all get stress every week. Some weeks I handle mine better than others. Chances are maybe the same as for you. I can normally tell about how tidy is my house, so that's how stressed I am. Beth saying she hasn't made her bed for a week tells her how stressed she is, right? And so be aware. Me, I've broken a lot of nails, and um, but it doesn't mean I'm out of control. It means I am using this backup to cope. So what it really means is time for me to spend some more time looking after me. And that is our responsibility. It's not up to somebody else to do that for us. It is up to us to do that for us. And once you really get that, once you really understand that the stress will always be there, how we control ourselves and keep as much of it out as possible is our responsibility. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you so much for being here this weekend. We had fun, didn't we? I am looking forward to eating some really interesting meals. And Jeannie, thank you for the mustards and the other goodies that came. I'm thoroughly going to enjoy that. And I'm looking forward to my beans. And by the way, my first little baby grape tomato is turning red as we speak. So exciting. With more to follow. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, love you dearly. Look after one another, but most of all, please, 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 look after yourself first. Bye-bye for now. Thanks, Jody.